The late afternoon sun bathed the quaint neighborhood in a warm, golden hue as Elliot Ross sat on a weathered park bench, watching the world pass by. His daughter, Sophia, was skipping ahead, her curly hair bouncing with each step. Despite the weight of his circumstances, Elliot managed to smile whenever he saw her exuberance. Sophia was his world. Her laughter, her curiosity, her boundless energy kept him moving forward. Life had not been kind to Elliot. A single father for 3 years now, he had juggled countless odd jobs to make ends meet after losing his advertising career to a company-wide layoff. Rent had become unmanageable, and eventually, he and Sophia were evicted. Homelessness was not the life Elliot had envisioned for his daughter, but he refused to give up hope. The park was their temporary sanctuary, a space where they could forget their troubles for a while. As Sophia ran toward the playground, she turned back and called, "Dad, watch me on the slide." Her voice was filled with delight, a reminder to Elliot of why he persevered. "I'm watching, sweetheart," he called back, though his mind was preoccupied. He glanced down at his shoes, the soles worn thin, and sighed. How did it come to this? Around the corner from the park stood Grant's Table, a modest restaurant with peeling paint on the sign, but an unmistakable charm. The tantalizing aroma of roasted chicken and fresh bread often wafted down the street, drawing the attention of passers-by. For Elliot and Sophia, it had become more than a restaurant. It was a lifeline. Mr. Grant, the restaurant's owner, was a gruff but kind man with salt and pepper hair and a perpetual frown that hid his generous heart. He ran the place with the philosophy that no one in need should go hungry. Each evening, as the dinner rush dwindled, Mr. Grant would set aside portions of unsold food to share with the neighborhood's less fortunate. Elliot and Sophia arrived at the restaurant's side alley just as the familiar routine was beginning. A group of locals, all struggling in their own ways, lined up quietly near the back door. Mr. Grant stepped out carrying large pots filled with steaming stew, his apron stained but his expression kind. "Elliot, Sophia," Mr. Grant greeted them as they approached. "You're just in time. Got something special today. My mother's recipe. You'll love it." "Thank you, Mr. Grant," Elliot said earnestly. "You don't know how much this means to us." Mr. Grant waved off the gratitude. "Don't mention it. Just make sure this little one gets her fill," he replied, glancing at Sophia with a wink. Sophia beamed up at him. "Thank you, Mr. Grant. I'll eat every bite," she promised, clutching the warm container of food. As they sat on a nearby curb eating together, Sophia chattered on about her day. She spoke about the books she had read at the library and the new math problems she had solved in school. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and for a brief moment, Elliot felt the weight of his troubles lift. But the moment didn't last long. As they were finishing their meal, Mr. Grant joined them, his usual stern demeanor softer than usual. He sat beside Elliot and sighed deeply. "You seem different today," Elliot said cautiously. "Everything okay?" Mr. Grant sighed deeply, rubbing the back of his neck. "Not really. Things aren't looking good for the restaurant, Elliot. Business has been slow for months. I've tried discounts, specials, you name it. Nothing's working. If it doesn't turn around soon, I'll have no choice but to sell." The words hit Elliot harder than he expected. The restaurant wasn't just a source of meals for him and Sophia. It was a symbol of hope in their toughest times. He couldn't imagine the neighborhood without it. "Selling?" Elliot repeated, his voice laced with disbelief. "You've been here for years. There must be something we can do." Mr. Grant shook his head, his eyes reflecting the exhaustion of someone who had tried everything. "It's not for lack of trying. People just don't have the money to eat out like they used to." Elliot stood silently, his mind racing. His advertising career felt like a distant memory, but the skills he once used to craft campaigns and attract clients began to resurface. Could he really make a difference? He thought about Sophia, her bright smile, and her unshakable faith in him. "I think I can help," Elliot said finally. "I used to work in advertising. If you'll let me, I'll come up with a plan to bring customers back to the restaurant." Mr. Grant looked at him skeptically. "Advertising? That's all well and good, but I don't have money to spend on fancy campaigns." I'm not talking about anything expensive, Elliot said quickly. Just creative ideas that use what you already have. All I need is a chance. Mr. Grant crossed his arms, studying Elliot closely. And what's in it for you? Elliot hesitated for a moment, then said, a safe place for Sophia and me to sleep. Just for now. We can stay in the storage room. You won't even know we're there. Mr. Grant's stern expression softened. He looked past Elliot to where Sophia was giggling as she fed a small piece of bread to the stray cat. Finally, he sighed. All right, he said gruffly. You've got 1 week. If you can make a difference, I'll reconsider selling. But if not, his voice trailed off, the unspoken words hanging heavily in the air. Elliot extended his hand. Deal. That evening, Elliot and Sophia moved into the storage room. It wasn't much, just a small space tucked behind the kitchen, crowded with shelves and crates, but it offered them a roof and a sense of safety they hadn't felt in months. Sophia explored their new home with the excitement only a child could muster. Look, Dad, we can put our things here and this can be my bed, she said, pointing to a stack of crates. Elliot chuckled, grateful for her optimism. It's not exactly the Ritz, but it'll do, he said, ruffling her hair. Later, as Sophia slept peacefully on the makeshift mattress, Elliot sat on a crate, sketching out ideas for the restaurant. He thought about what had drawn him to the advertising world in the first place, the power of creativity to solve problems. Maybe I can still do this, he thought, determination swelling in his chest. The next morning, Elliot shared his plan with Mr. Grant and his daughter Emma, who had come to help while her father focused on other matters. We need to make this place stand out, Elliot explained. Something that gets people talking. What if we create a game? Customers can order a surprise dish and guess what it is. If they get it right, they win a free dessert. Emma's eyes lit up. That's actually brilliant. It's fun and doesn't cost much. Mr. Grant nodded slowly. It might just work. Let's give it a shot. Elliot spent the day helping Emma set up the restaurant for the new promotion. He crafted a chalkboard sign to place outside, its bold letters reading, "Guess the dish, win a free dessert." As they worked, Emma chatted with Elliot about her father's struggles and her dreams of pursuing music. Her warmth and determination reminded Elliot of the strength it took to keep fighting, even when the odds were stacked against you. By the end of the day, the restaurant was ready. The sign was in place, the menu adjusted, and a sense of cautious hope hung in the air. That evening, as Elliot lay on the storage room floor, he felt an unfamiliar sensation. Optimism. For the first time in a long while, it felt like there was a path forward, not just for the restaurant, but for him and Sophia as well. The road ahead would be challenging, but together they were taking the first steps toward a brighter future. The following morning, sunlight streamed through the cracks of the storage room, waking Elliot earlier than usual. He spent the previous night mapping out ideas to revive the restaurant, and though the plan was rough, it was enough to get started. Today was the day to take action. Sophia woke up, rubbing her sleepy eyes. "What's the plan today, Dad?" she asked, her excitement bubbling beneath the surface. "We're going to make Mr. Grant's restaurant the most talked-about spot in the neighborhood," Elliot replied with a determined smile. "But first, let's have breakfast." In the restaurant's quiet dining area, Elliot spread out his sketches and notes on one of the empty tables. Mr. Grant and Emma joined him, both looking curious and slightly skeptical. "All right," Elliot began. "The problem isn't the food. It's that people don't know what makes this place special. We need to create an experience, something fun and unique that draws them in." He pointed to one of his notes, which read, "Guess the dish," in bold letters. "Here's the first idea. Customers order a mystery dish from the menu. They have to guess what it is based on taste. If they get it right, they win a free dessert. It's simple, fun, and gets people talking." Emma's eyes lit up. "I love it. It's like a game. People would definitely want to try it." Mr. Grant leaned back in his chair, his arms crossed. "It's clever," he admitted. "But will it actually work?" "It's worth a shot," Elliot said. "We'll start small and see how people respond." With Mr. Grant's hesitant approval, They set to work. Elliot created a colorful chalkboard sign to place outside the restaurant, its bold letters reading, "Guess the dish, win a free dessert." Emma and Sophia pitched in enthusiastically. Emma helped design the menu for the challenge, choosing dishes that were flavorful, but tricky to guess. Sophia, meanwhile, took charge of decorating the entrance with balloons and streamers. "This will make people notice the sign right away," Sophia declared, her face beaming with pride as she tied a bright yellow balloon to the door. Elliot couldn't help but smile. "You're a natural at this, kiddo." By lunchtime, everything was ready. The chalkboard sign gleamed under the sun, the restaurant smelled of delicious cooking, and the dining area was warm and welcoming. All they could do now was wait. The first customer arrived around noon, a middle-aged man in a crisp suit. He paused to read the sign, his curiosity clearly piqued. "What's this about guessing dishes?" he asked as he stepped inside. Emma greeted him with a bright smile. "It's a simple game. Order a surprise dish, and if you can guess what it is, you win a free dessert." The man chuckled. "Sounds interesting. Let's give it a shot." As Emma brought out the mystery dish, a plate of her father's signature spicy chicken curry, the man sniffed the aroma appreciatively. He took a bite, his eyes narrowing in concentration. It's chicken, definitely. Some kind of curry? Spicy, but not too much. Is it mango curry?" Emma clapped her hands. "You got it, congratulations." The man grinned as she brought him a small plate of apple pie, his free dessert. "This is a fun idea," he said. "I'll definitely tell my colleagues about this place." By mid-afternoon, word had begun to spread. Curious customers trickled in, each eager to try their luck at the guessing game. Some managed to guess their dishes correctly, while others laughed off their failed attempts, enjoying the delicious surprises nonetheless. Sophia flitted around the dining area, handing out napkins and chatting with customers. Her cheerful presence added to the restaurant's newfound vibrancy. "Do you like it here?" she asked one woman who was savoring her dessert. "It's wonderful," the woman replied. "You're quite the little hostess." Sophia giggled. "That's because my dad says everyone should feel welcome. He's the one who thought of the guessing game." The woman smiled, clearly charmed. "Well, your dad is very clever." As the day turned to evening, Elliot and Emma discussed their next move in the kitchen while Mr. Grant served customers. "I think we can add more challenges," Elliot said, his mind already brimming with ideas. "What if we do a flavor guessing game for drinks? Customers could try a mystery juice blend and guess the ingredients." Emma nodded thoughtfully. "That could work. We could even create a weekly flavor challenge to keep things fresh and exciting." Encouraged by the day's success, they finalized the new idea, jotting down details for the next promotion. The energy between Elliot and Emma was infectious, their shared determination driving them forward. By closing time, the restaurant was alive with a buzz it hadn't felt in months. Mr. Grant, exhausted but smiling, counted the day's earnings with wide eyes. "This is more than I've made in weeks," he admitted. "Maybe there's hope for this place after all." Elliot clapped him on the shoulder. "This is just the beginning. With a little creativity and teamwork, we'll make this restaurant the heart of the neighborhood again." Sophia, sitting nearby with a sleepy but content expression, chimed in, "And I'll help too. We'll make it the best restaurant ever." Emma laughed, ruffling Sophia's hair. "With you on the team, we can't lose." That night, as Elliot lay on the mattress in the storage room, he felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. The restaurant's future was far from certain, but for the first time in months, he felt a glimmer of hope. He glanced at Sophia, who was fast asleep, her tiny face serene. "We're going to make it," he whispered, "one step at a time." Elliot closed his eyes, ready for whatever challenges the next day would bring. The restaurant's success with the Guess the Dish challenge had brought a much-needed spark of hope to Elliot, Sophia, Mr. Grant, and Emma. Customers were beginning to return, drawn not just by the food, but by the sense of fun and community that now filled the space. Still, Elliot knew they couldn't rest on their laurels. One evening, as they sat in the quiet dining area after closing, Elliot looked at Emma, who was busy jotting down notes on the day's earnings. "Emma, you've got a natural way with people. Ever think about adding something personal to the restaurant? Something that reflects you?" Emma glanced up, puzzled. "Like what?" Elliot hesitated before responding. "You mentioned before that you love music. What if you performed here? Live music could draw even more customers." Emma's cheeks flushed instantly. "Oh no, I couldn't. I've never performed in public before. I just play and sing for fun." Sophia, ever the cheerleader, piped up from her chair.
"But you're so good, Emma. You should do it. You could sing songs that everyone loves, and people will come just to hear you."
Emma smiled nervously at Sophia's enthusiasm, but shook her head. "It's different singing at home and performing for a crowd. What if I mess up?" Elliot leaned forward, his tone gentle but persuasive. "Emma, you've already done so much for this place. Think about it. Music isn't just entertainment, it's a connection. People want to feel something special when they come here, and your talent could do that." Emma bit her lip, considering. Deep down, she had always dreamed of sharing her music with others, but fear held her back. "Maybe I'll think about it," she finally said, her voice tinged with uncertainty. The next evening, Elliot found Emma in the storage room where he and Sophia stayed. She was holding a guitar, strumming softly as she hummed a familiar tune. The melody filled the small space, warm and soothing with a touch of melancholy. Elliot paused in the doorway, captivated. "That's beautiful," he said softly. Emma looked up, startled. "Oh, I didn't see you there." Elliot stepped inside and sat down on a box across from her. "You've got a real gift, Emma. I think the restaurant would light up with your music." Emma sighed. "I don't know, Elliot. It's not just the fear of performing. I don't think I'm good enough to make a difference." Elliot shook his head. "You're wrong about that. Music has a way of reaching people in ways words can't. And it's not about perfection. It's about heart. You've got that in spades." Emma stared at him for a moment, her expression softening. "You really believe that?" "I do," Elliot said firmly. "And Sophia does too. She's your biggest fan, you know." Emma chuckled, finally allowing herself a small smile. "Okay, I'll try, just once." The following Saturday, the restaurant was abuzz with anticipation. Word had spread about the first ever live music night, and the tables were packed. Customers chatted excitedly, curious to see what the evening would bring. Behind the scenes, Emma was a bundle of nerves. Dressed simply but elegantly, she clutched her guitar, pacing back and forth in the kitchen. Elliot stepped in, sensing her anxiety. "You're going to be great," he said, his voice steady and reassuring. "Just remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about sharing a part of yourself. That's what people will love." Emma took a deep breath. "Okay, let's do this." As Emma stepped onto the small makeshift stage, the room fell silent. The warm glow of the string lights overhead cast a soft halo around her as she adjusted the microphone and settled onto a stool. "Hi, everyone," she began, her voice shaky but endearing. "Thank you for being here tonight. This is my first time doing something like this, so bear with me." A ripple of supportive applause encouraged her. Taking one last breath, Emma began to play. The first notes of her guitar filled the air, followed by her clear, soulful voice. She sang a soft, heartfelt rendition of a popular classic, her nerves melting away with each chord. The audience was mesmerized. Conversation ceased as everyone turned their attention to the young woman pouring her heart into the music. Sophia, sitting in the front row with Elliot, beamed with pride, mouthing the words to the song. When Emma finished her first song, the crowd erupted into applause, some even standing to cheer. Emma's face lit up with a mixture of relief and joy. "Thank you," she said, laughing nervously. "You've been a wonderful audience." As the evening progressed, Emma grew more comfortable, her voice gaining confidence with each song. The restaurant buzzed with an energy it hadn't seen in years. People lingered long after their meals, drawn in by the music and the welcoming atmosphere. Elliot worked tirelessly in the background, serving customers and ensuring everything ran smoothly. But he couldn't help stealing glances at Emma on stage, his admiration for her growing with each performance. When the night finally ended, Emma stepped off the stage to a round of applause and was immediately met by Elliot and Sophia. "You were amazing," Sophia exclaimed, throwing her arms around Emma. Emma laughed, her face flushed with happiness. "Thank you, Sophia. I couldn't have done it without you cheering me on." Elliot smiled, his eyes meeting Emma's. "I knew you had it in you." For a moment, the two of them stood there, the noise of the restaurant fading into the background. There was an unspoken connection between them, a sense of mutual respect and understanding that went beyond words. "Thank you for believing in me," Emma said softly. "Always," Elliot replied. In the weeks that followed, live music nights became a staple of the restaurant. Emma's performances brought in even more customers, turning the once struggling eatery into a bustling local hotspot. Regulars began bringing friends, and soon the restaurant became the talk of the neighborhood. For Emma, the experience was transformative. Music, once a private passion, became a source of joy and connection. For Elliot, seeing the restaurant thrive and watching Emma blossom reignited a sense of hope he hadn't felt in years. And between them, something deeper began to grow, a partnership built on trust, admiration, and an undeniable spark that neither could ignore. As the restaurant flourished, so did the bond between Elliot and Emma, setting the stage for a future filled with possibility. The transformation of Mr. Grant's family restaurant was nothing short of miraculous. What had once been a quiet, struggling eatery fighting to stay afloat was now a vibrant neighborhood hotspot, buzzing with energy. The scent of freshly prepared meals mingled with the sounds of laughter, clinking plates, and live music, creating an atmosphere that drew people in. This remarkable change was not just a testament to clever ideas and hard work. It was a reflection of the determination and collaboration of those who called the restaurant home. For Mr. Grant, seeing the restaurant teeming with life again was both a relief and a joy. Gone were the days of staring at unpaid bills and empty tables with a heavy heart. Instead, each evening brought a new sense of purpose as he greeted customers at the door or lent a hand in the kitchen. The lively atmosphere infused him with an energy he hadn't felt in years. One evening, as Mr. Grant watched Sophia energetically wipe down tables with a proud smile on her face, he turned to Elliot. "She's got a real knack for this, doesn't she? Like a little whirlwind." Elliot chuckled, glancing at his daughter, who was humming to herself as she worked. "She loves being part of this. I think it makes her feel like she's contributing to something bigger." "It's more than that," Mr. Grant replied, his tone warm and reflective. "You and Sophia saved this place. You gave me hope when I thought I'd lost it." Elliot looked at Mr. Grant, his expression softening. "We couldn't have done it without you giving us a chance. You believed in us when we had nothing." Their conversation was interrupted by Emma, who appeared from the kitchen, balancing a tray of desserts. "Are you two going to keep patting each other on the back, or are you going to help me serve these?" she teased, her eyes twinkling with amusement. Elliot grinned, grabbing a plate from the tray. "On it, boss." As the restaurant thrived, so did the connection between Elliot and Emma. Working side by side, they developed a seamless rhythm, their mutual respect and admiration forming the foundation of their partnership. Emma admired Elliot's creative ideas and his unwavering dedication to the restaurant's success. His enthusiasm was contagious, and she often found herself inspired by his optimism. Meanwhile, Elliot was captivated by Emma's warmth, her laughter, and the way her music brought life to the restaurant. Her dedication reminded him that the heart of their work wasn't just about business. It was about creating a space where people felt at home. Their bond deepened with each passing day. Late one evening, after the restaurant had closed and the last customer had left, the two of them found themselves cleaning up together. The soft glow of the string lights and the quiet of the empty restaurant created an intimacy that made it easy to talk. "You've really turned this place around," Emma said as she stacked chairs on tables. "It feels like a whole new restaurant." Elliot leaned on his broom, his voice thoughtful. "It's not just me. You brought the heart to this place. Your music, your energy, that's what people come for. Emma blushed, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. You're giving me too much credit. We did this together. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, the unspoken emotions between them palpable. Finally, Emma broke the quiet with a soft laugh. We're a good team, aren't we? The best, Elliot replied, his voice steady but gentle. And maybe it could be more than just a team. Emma's eyes widened, her heart skipping a beat. You mean? Elliot nodded, stepping closer. I mean, I care about you, Emma, more than I thought I could care for someone again. Emma smiled, her voice soft but filled with certainty. I care about you too, Elliot. And Sophia. You've both brought so much light into my life. In that moment, the foundation of their partnership shifted from friendship to something much deeper, a connection that promised to grow even stronger. Their relationship brought a renewed sense of joy and purpose to the restaurant. Customers couldn't help but notice the warmth radiating from the team. The camaraderie between Elliot, Emma, and Mr. Grant made every visit to the restaurant feel like stepping into a family gathering. Sophia, ever perceptive, was thrilled by the change. Daddy and Emma are like peanut butter and jelly, she announced one afternoon, drawing laughter from the adults. They just belong together. Elliot and Emma couldn't help but agree. Their growing affection for one another only strengthened their commitment to the restaurant's success and to creating a stable, happy future for their makeshift family. The success of the restaurant didn't just bring professional fulfillment. It provided the stability Elliot and Sophia had long craved. With steady income flowing in, the uncertainty that had once defined their lives began to fade. The storage room, which had served as a temporary shelter, was transformed into a cozy living space filled with laughter and warmth. Mr. Grant refused to take rent from them, insisting that they stay as long as they needed. It's the least I can do, he said firmly. You saved this place. You've given me back my life. Elliot was overwhelmed by Mr. Grant's generosity. Thank you, he said, his voice thick with emotion, for everything. Life settled into a comforting rhythm. On quiet evenings, Emma would bring out her guitar, and the small group would gather in the dining area to sing, share stories, and dream about the future. The restaurant wasn't just a workplace, it was home. With the restaurant thriving, Elliot's mind turned to bigger dreams. What if we expand, he suggested one evening, as the group sat together after closing. We could open a second location and bring this sense of community to another neighborhood. Emma's eyes lit up. I love that idea. We've already proven what we can do here. Imagine how many more lives we could touch. Mr. Grant, though cautious, nodded thoughtfully. It's ambitious. But if anyone can pull it off, it's us. Plans began to take shape, their excitement contagious. For Elliot, this wasn't just about growing a business. It was about creating a legacy. He wanted Sophia to grow up surrounded by stability, love, and opportunity, and he was determined to make that dream a reality. As Elliot and Emma's relationship deepened, their conversations began to include long-term plans. One evening, as they sat together on the patio after hours, Elliot took Emma's hand. You know, he began, his voice steady, I never thought I'd find someone like you. Someone who understands me and shares my dreams. Emma smiled, her eyes glistening with emotion. I feel the same way. I never imagined I'd find a partner who makes me believe in myself the way you do. Surrounded by the soft glow of the string lights, they both realized that their partnership, both in life and in business, was something extraordinary. The restaurant had brought them together, but it was their shared hope, love, and determination that would carry them forward. Together, they were building a future filled with joy, laughter, and endless possibilities, a thriving partnership in every sense of the word. The morning light streamed into the restaurant's dining area, now bustling with the familiar sounds of clinking glasses, cheerful chatter, and soft background music. The restaurant had not only become a neighborhood hotspot, but also a second home to Elliot, Emma, Sophia, and Mr. Grant. Yet, amidst the lively atmosphere, Elliot's heart raced for a different reason. Today was the day he would take a leap of faith, one that had been brewing in his heart for weeks. It was a quiet evening after the restaurant had closed for the day. Sophia had just gone to bed in the cozy storage room, leaving Elliot and Emma alone in the dining area. The soft glow of string lights gave the room a warm ambiance, and the faint hum of the city outside added to the serenity of the moment. Elliot stood by the counter, fiddling nervously with a small velvet box in his pocket. He turned to Emma, who was wiping down the tables, and called out softly, "Emma, can you come here for a moment?" Emma looked up, a smile on her face. "What is it, Elliot? Did we forget something?" Elliot motioned for her to sit at one of the tables. He took a deep breath, his hands trembling slightly as he knelt in front of her, pulling the box from his pocket. Emma's eyes widened, her hands flying to her mouth in surprise. "Emma," Elliot began, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "You've brought so much light into my life and Sophia's life. You've turned what felt like an endless struggle into something beautiful and full of hope. I can't imagine a future without you by my side." Tears glistened in Emma's eyes as Elliot opened the box to reveal a simple but elegant ring. "Will you marry me?" he asked, his voice filled with love and sincerity. For a moment, Emma was too overcome with emotion to speak. She nodded quickly, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Yes, Elliot. Of course, yes." Elliot slipped the ring onto her finger, as they both laughed and cried, their joy overflowing. That night, the two of them sat together long after the lights had been turned off, dreaming of the life they would build together. News of their engagement spread quickly, and the community that had rallied around the restaurant was thrilled to hear about their union. It seemed only fitting that their wedding should reflect the love and support they had received. Together, Elliot, Emma, Mr. Grant, and Sophia planned a simple but joyful celebration that would take place in the restaurant itself. The day of the wedding arrived, and the restaurant was transformed into a magical space. Tables were adorned with fresh flowers, and the soft melodies of Emma's guitar filled the air as friends, family, and loyal customers gathered to celebrate. Sophia, dressed in a light pink dress, was ecstatic to be the flower girl. As she walked down the aisle tossing petals, she beamed with pride. "Daddy and Emma are getting married," she announced to the crowd, earning laughter and applause. Elliot and Emma exchanged heartfelt vows under an arch of twinkling lights, surrounded by the people who had become like family. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, the room erupted in cheers. Elliot lifted Sophia into his arms as they all embraced, their little family now officially complete. Married life brought a sense of peace and purpose to Elliot and Emma. Together, they continued to pour their energy into the restaurant, which was now thriving more than ever. The Guess the Dish and live music nights remained staples, but they also introduced new concepts, including community cooking classes and charity events. Their efforts caught the attention of other restaurateurs in the city, who reached out to collaborate or seek advice. It wasn't long before the idea of expanding the restaurant into a franchise began to take shape. "It's a big step," Mr. Grant said during one of their planning meetings. "But if anyone can make it happen, it's you two." Elliot nodded, his excitement barely contained. "We've already proven what works here. Imagine bringing this sense of community to other neighborhoods." Emma smiled, placing a hand on his. "Let's do it. Together." With Mr. Grant's guidance and Elliot's marketing expertise, they opened a second location in a nearby neighborhood, followed by a third. Each restaurant carried the same spirit of warmth and creativity that had made the original so special. The franchise became a symbol of resilience, showing how even in the face of adversity, it was possible to create something extraordinary. One evening, as the family sat together in the storage room turned living quarters, Emma shared some exciting news with Elliot and Sophia. "I have something to tell you," she said, her eyes sparkling. Sophia leaned forward eagerly. "What is it, Emma?" Emma reached for Elliot's hand and smiled. "We're going to have a baby." For a moment, the room was silent as the news sank in. Then Sophia let out a squeal of delight, jumping up and down.
I'm going to be a big sister. This is the best day ever.
Elliot's face broke into a grin as he pulled Emma into a tight hug. This is incredible, he said, his voice choked with emotion. Our family is growing. The months that followed were filled with anticipation and joy as they prepared for the arrival of their newest family member. Sophia took her role as a soon-to-be big sister very seriously, often talking to Emma's belly and offering to help with anything she could. When the baby finally arrived, a healthy, rosy-cheeked boy, they named him Gabriel, a name that symbolized strength and hope. Holding Gabriel in his arms for the first time, Elliot felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought him to this moment. Years later, the original restaurant remained the heart of their franchise, a place where customers still came for a warm meal, a good laugh, and perhaps a chance to hear Emma perform. Elliot, now a respected entrepreneur, often reflected on the path that had led him here. What had started as a desperate struggle to survive had become a story of love, resilience, and community. Together, Elliot and Emma had built not just a thriving business, but a legacy of kindness and creativity that would endure for generations. As the family gathered around the dinner table one evening, with Sophia and Gabriel laughing and teasing each other, Elliot looked at Emma and smiled. "This," he said softly, "is everything I ever dreamed of." Emma squeezed his hand, and we built it together. The years that followed were a testament to the power of resilience, love, and determination. What had started as a small, struggling family restaurant became a thriving cornerstone of the community. Elliot and Emma's journey from hardship to prosperity was not just a story of survival, but one of giving back and inspiring others to rise above their challenges. The restaurant, once a quaint neighborhood spot, had grown into a beloved community institution. Its walls were adorned with memories, photos of Elliot, Emma, Sophia, and Mr. Grant working together during the early days, snapshots of smiling customers enjoying meals, and mementos from the restaurant's famous Guess the Dish nights and live music events. Each piece told a story of connection, perseverance, and shared joy. The franchise had expanded to several locations across the city, each one carrying the same warm, welcoming spirit as the original. Yet, the flagship restaurant remained the heart of the operation, a place where Elliot and Emma could often be found, greeting customers, chatting with regulars, and sharing their story with those who were curious about how it all began. Sophia, now a teenager, had taken a keen interest in the family business. She loved working alongside her parents, learning the ins and outs of running a restaurant. "One day, I'm going to take this over and make it even better," she declared with youthful determination. Her dream of contributing to the legacy her parents had built filled Elliot and Emma with pride. As their business thrived, Elliot and Emma remained committed to the values that had guided them from the start. They partnered with local charities and schools, offering free meals to children from low-income families and hosting fundraisers to support education and community development. The restaurant became a hub for local events, from food drives to cultural festivals, fostering a sense of togetherness that extended beyond its doors. One of their most cherished programs was the Mentorship Initiative, where Elliot worked with young entrepreneurs, sharing the marketing strategies and business lessons that had helped him turn the restaurant around. "If we could do it," he often told his mentees, "so can you. All it takes is creativity, persistence, and a little help along the way." Emma continued to perform at the restaurant, her music drawing crowds and creating an atmosphere of magic and warmth. Her songs, often inspired by their journey, became anthems of hope and resilience for the community. Customers frequently shared how her performances lifted their spirits and gave them courage in their own struggles. The family's story resonated deeply with those who knew it. Customers often approached Elliot and Emma to thank them for their example, sharing how their perseverance had inspired them to face their own challenges. "If you hadn't shared your story, I wouldn't have believed it was possible to turn things around," one patron told them. "You've shown us that hope isn't just a dream, it's something we can create with the right mindset." Sophia also became a role model for her peers. Her journey from a little girl who knew hunger and uncertainty to a confident young woman with big dreams was a source of inspiration for the younger generation. She often spoke at local schools, sharing her experiences and encouraging students to believe in their potential. No matter how hard things get, remember, you are stronger than your circumstances, she told them. And there's always someone who cares, ready to help you find your way. One quiet evening, after the restaurant had closed for the night, the family gathered around one of the tables to celebrate another successful year. Gabriel, now a lively preschooler, sat on Elliot's lap, giggling as his father made silly faces. Sophia chatted animatedly with Emma, brainstorming ideas for a new event to attract even more customers. Mr. Grant, who had stepped back from the day-to-day operations to enjoy a well-earned retirement, watched them with a satisfied smile. "You've all turned this place into something truly special," he said, his voice tinged with emotion. "It's more than a restaurant. It's a beacon of hope." Elliot reached for Emma's hand, their fingers intertwining as they exchanged a warm glance. "It's because of all of us," he said, "and because of the community that believed in us, just like we believed in each other." As the conversation continued, Elliot looked around the room, his heart full. He thought back to the difficult days when he and Sophia had been unsure where their next meal would come from, to the moments of doubt when the challenges seemed insurmountable. Each struggle, each sacrifice, had led to this, a life filled with purpose, love, and the joy of giving back. The Ross family's journey was a reminder that even the most difficult circumstances could be overcome with determination and support. They had not only built a successful business, but also a life rich with meaning and connection. Their story became a legacy, inspiring countless others to face life's challenges with courage and hope. On the wall of the original restaurant hung a plaque with a simple message. "In this place, we believe in the power of kindness, the strength of community, and the magic of second chances." It was a sentiment that guided everything they did, and a promise to keep creating a better world, one meal, one smile, and one act of love at a time. As the years went by, the once struggling restaurant became more than a thriving business. It turned into a beacon of hope for the community. Elliot, Emma, and Mr. Grant had created something extraordinary, a space where every meal was served with love, every customer was greeted with warmth, and every challenge was met with unwavering resilience. Sophia, now growing up surrounded by love and stability, often reminded them that their journey was a testament to the power of kindness, creativity, and perseverance. The family's journey taught them, and everyone around them, an important lesson. No matter how difficult life may seem, when people come together with open hearts and shared determination, they can achieve the impossible. Every setback is an opportunity, every obstacle a chance to grow, and every act of kindness a spark that can ignite something extraordinary. And that's the heart of their story. Hope is never out of reach when we lift each other up. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales.